Brennan, you want a tap from Gerry Cooney?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I
Give him a
can't
tap.
do it. I can't
Give
do
him
it.
a
You know,
tap.
I'm getting myself in trouble about.
As long as it's a tap. Look, he's getting his
But-
arm ready and
but
everything.
It's a tap. You can't do it. I can't do it, bro.
Just do it light
I
then.
can't do it.
It's a
I can't do it.
tap.
I can't do it.
His taps are brutal. What do you
Hey,
say?
how about if I punch you and then you get mad, you punch me back?
Try.
I punch you right in your fucking Groucho Marx glasses.
Oh my God!
I gotta go. I'm leaving.
Yes, I love you too.
I'm
Well,
with Cooney.
Did you wear your glasses when you're in your prime?
what is it?
I don't remember.
What is your name? What's your name?
My name's Keith Robinson.
Keith. All you're gonna hear is "Get up, Keith. Get up."
Oh,
I heard that.
Oh,
I want to go home. I'm getting hot again.
crunch. That hurts, right?
Luckily, I wasn't looking, so I was
Hey,
relaxed.
listen, let me see you turn around and watch.
no.
Let me see you turn around and watch.
Oh my God! Now he's really fucking mad.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. What's going on, everybody? It's time once again for the OpieRadio podcast. And I am very, very excited for this episode. You got three Huntington Long Island boys getting together. You got myself, Opie. You got Chris Algieri, who's going to be fighting for the title very, very soon after that amazing win over Tommy Coyle. And then the legend himself, Gerry Cooney. Man, when I was growing up in Huntington, Gerry Cooney was, no joke, a major rock star on Long Island and a rock star across the country, obviously. The Great White Hope, which was a stupid moniker they gave Gerry Cooney when he was fighting. But I remember being a kid wandering around Huntington Village, and there would be rumors that Gerry Cooney was buying jeans or he was getting a cup of coffee, and everyone would freak the F out because everybody wanted just a glimpse of the gentle giant, Gerry Cooney himself. So Gerry Cooney's got a brand new book out called Gerry Cooney, the Gentle Giant, and I got to tell you, man, wow, has he lived a life so far. Wow, wow, wow. He came from a broken home with an abusive father. And in the book, it goes into it a little bit, but basically mentally abused, physically abused, horribly, which is so strange because Gerry Cooney's 6'6", and Gerry would hide in the basement because he realized if he was out of sight, then he wouldn't get hit or abused mentally. And I hate to tell you, but I can relate to that with my own upbringing. We didn't have really physical abuse, but certainly the mental abuse. And I understood being in the house. If I was hiding, if I was out of sight, if I was out of the house, if I was caddying, that meant I would be out of my mom's hair. And that would also mean that, I wouldn't have to deal with her wrath. So I always wondered why me and Gerry Cooney got along. And now I understand, man. He's one of 6 kids. I'm one of 7 kids. Had the fucked up childhood, the fucked up household, and we both persevered. Cooney's like fighting career was crazy. Golden Gloves champion, an unbelievable amateur. Then he was heading toward the Olympics in 1976. And his dad, Tony, the one that abused him mentally and physically, was dying of cancer. And basically, Gerry Cooney didn't get the chance to fight for the United States in the Olympics in 1976, which was the first bummer in his career. And then he had he turned pro and had just an amazing run. And then he fought Larry Holmes for the title. That went the distance. I'm giving your bio, Gerry Cooney.
Yeah, bullshit, bro.
What's going on,
Get up
man?
your ass.
What's going on?
Good to see you, man. Good.
Oh, all right.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Damn.
I was giving your whole bio. I got up to the Larry Holmes thing. Dude, I just read The Gentle Giant. We've known each other for many, many years. And I first of all, I love the book.
Thank you.
And second of all, I always me and you got along from the jump.
From day one.
From day one.
I'm glad you landed good. You landed good, bro.
Well, I'm landing, that's
I
for
like
sure.
it.
And then as I'm reading this book, I'm like, of course we get along. We had very similar upbringings, and I never even realized that.
Wow.
And we had to persevere through all the madness
By ourselves.
by ourselves.
That was the tough part about it. That you had to put yourself out there. You know, you go from one room to the next, and you wait and you hold on and you hope it's right.
Yeah.
And so we had a struggle. I didn't have nobody helping me.
Well, here's the deal. So we're both from Huntington, Long Island. I didn't even realize because I Google mapped it that your family home was pretty much right behind the Walt Whitman Mall or very close to it.
I used to work at the Dairy Barn.
That
store
dairy barn?
Off North Avenue 110.
Yeah, sure.
New York Avenue 110.
Yeah.
And when I was fighting the gloves, they put up on the sign, Gerry Cooney drinks Dairy Barn milk.
I love it. So, and you had a tough household, man. I had no idea. I had no idea that your dad was so abusive mentally and physically.
Well, you know, he grew up the same way. And so, you know, so what do? I grew up.
Yeah.
I find out how not to do it.
Yeah.
And how I love my kids. I've never touched my kids.
Right.
And
but don't you every once in a while go, oh, do
my
you
kids?
Understand how tough I
just
had
once.
it?
No. Never do that.
I'm more kidding.
Once or twice I've got annoyed.
Yeah.
Where I wanted to, you know.
So you broke the chain.
Yeah, but how to do? You know how much it cost me to break that chain?
A lot of money, a lot of
A lot of
therapy,
alcohol.
a lot of alcohol. You had to go through the shit.
Recreational drugs.
Right.
And to find out it doesn't work. It's not working.
So back to your childhood, though. Your dad, did he beat you up a lot?
All the time. I you know, my favorite place in the house was in the basement.
Yeah.
I used to hide by the had this pipe that was nice and warm.
Right.
And I'd hold on to that pipe. And if I heard the chairs moving upstairs, shit, he was going to come down. So anyway, then my mother built they built a ring in the backyard.
Yeah.
My mother used to keep time for him when he boxed with me.
Yeah.
Now I was 17, and I could have kicked his ass.
Yeah.
But I couldn't hit him.
Right. Why couldn't you hit him? Because he had that power over you mentally?
Exactly. And I
that is so sad that you hid in the basement. But it also made me think back to my childhood and stuff. In my house, it was my mom. She was mentally ill. We didn't really maybe we did get physically abused, but it was the times where you were allowed to hit your kids. So I'm a little confused by that, but I didn't feel like I was getting beat left and right. But the mental shit was insane. And just like you hiding in the basement, my thing was get the fuck out of the house, stay away, stay in your room as long as you weren't seen.
Well, the whole thing in my house, I couldn't leave the house.
Right.
He didn't want me out of the house.
Right.
So we hide in the house.
Did everyone in your family get the abuse?
Everybody had their own hiding place.
Oh my God.
And so I think what he did was he kept us separated.
Yeah.
So we couldn't gang up on him.
Right.
But, you know, listen, it was a lot of good luck. Someone told me, this great retired cop, his name is Bob, told me, listen, Gerry, no matter what happened to you, your father gave you the brains to get in those rings,
Right.
climb up those steps and get in the ring and fight.
Right.
And boxing, what boxing did for me through the whole process, I found out was that it helped me to express my anger.
Right.
By punching.
Yeah.
And then they put my picture in the paper. I was on the back page of the Daily News.
Right.
Every week when I was 16.
Right.
Knocking somebody out. Fed me.
That's pretty confusing, but I get it because you persevered because of your upbringing. And it led to really good things.
Well, I mean, I don't know how I got to where I got to from where I came from, because all I was told is you're no good, you're a failure, you're not going to amount to anything. And that's what my father told me, to survive.
Right.
Because he learned to survive. He didn't learn to live.
You got a strong soul is what it comes down to, because most people would have went the other way and said, fuck life, fuck this, and just been a mess their entire life.
You know, I hated what my father was.
Yeah.
Alcoholic.
Right.
And I became him.
Right.
You know, and I
Were you abusive like him, though?
No, not that. To myself.
Yeah, I understand that.
To myself. And, you know, I picked great women.
Right.
But I was always unavailable.
Right.
And I wanted to make it work, but it couldn't work.
Right.
You know, that's the whole story.
You know this guy.
Who's this guy? Look at this guy.
Chris Algieri.
Chris Algieri's in town.
I decided to...
You better watch it, bro. You better be nice to us.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Congrats on the Tommy Coyle fight,
yes,
man.
Congrats,
Thank
bro.
you, thank you.
And now we're going to be fighting for a title. Hopefully soon, right?
Yeah, hopefully this year.
Yeah. So I decided I wanted to do a Huntington thing. I got Gerry Cooney, I got Chris Algieri, and of course myself. We're all from Huntington. We're talking about Gerry's new book, The Gentle Giant, and his upbringing.
I also saw Chris got a new book out about cooking.
Yeah, he does. We talked about it.
We did. We talked about it last time. I want to hear about your book, though, Gerry. What is
Well, I
it?
mean, it's amazing. You from fighting and guess being in college, you got into the. I always see your 8 pack. I haven't had one of those in a while.
You know, they say the abs are made in the kitchen, so it was important for me to figure out how to cook it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's making us both look.
No, listen,
like
I
slobs.
No, for me, it didn't matter about my 6 pack. It mattered.
Right.
I wanted to touch the other guy.
Right.
When I put my hand on him, he knew I was in the ring with him, and he.
Nope.
And he was,
I'm jumping ahead, but I'm going to go back to where
Good.
we were. But speaking of your punch, George Foreman gave you the ultimate compliment. Said you had the toughest punch, the hardest punch.
He did do that, and I was a year and a half sober when we fought.
Right.
And I wasn't just, my brain was still scattered.
Right.
And so I wasn't really prepared for it. But listen, I hit him with a couple good shots.
Oh, man.
Still had that punch, though.
You were a warrior right to the end. So back to your dad and you. So you broke the chain and you weren't physically abusive, but you were abusive to yourself.
Right.
And somehow through all that, you had an amazing.
I didn't want to feel. I had this big hole here in the center.
Right.
And I had to fill it up, keep filling it up. And alcohol numbed it out for a while.
Right.
But the next day you woke up, you still had it.
Right. And then
so,
when you get more and more addicted, then that alcohol isn't taking care of that hole anymore because you need more and more to the point it doesn't work anymore.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And you figured all that out. A lot of people don't.
But I had a great, I made a lot of money.
Yeah.
I would travel for a while.
Right.
And I'd move to Florida. I'd move to California. I'd meet new people when I got bored.
Right.
Or when it got too serious, I'd move on again.
Right.
Come back to New York. And that was another thing. Eating, traveling, spending.
Right.
Sexing.
Yeah.
You name it. I had it all. And I kept bouncing around with it and keeping myself off balance. And as long as I could. And then it didn't work no more.
Were you able to forgive your father in the end?
I had to forgive my father. I had to go to his gravesite.
Yeah.
And sit down with him for an hour and a half. And talk to him and tell him that I forgive you.
Right.
And I'm sorry for what I did.
Right.
Whatever-
What did you do?
Whatever it was.
You were just a kid.
I understand that, but whatever it is, I have to free myself.
Okay, fair enough.
And it really helped me out a lot.
And did you ever blame your mom for not controlling the situation when you were growing
You know,
up?
my mother told me that back in them days, what was she going to do? She was going to separate all of us
Right.
in foster homes.
Right.
So we wouldn't be together. So she sacrificed herself.
Oh my God.
But in
I
part
can
in doing
relate to all this.
in part doing that,
Sorry.
I was the hero of the family.
Right.
I was making the money. So I was the go-to guy.
Yeah.
Fix this, fix that, fix this, make everything right, make everything. Meanwhile, they resented me because I was the guy fixing everything.
Sure.
And so it came a time when I had to walk away
Right.
from my own family, including my mother, for 3 years.
Right.
And, the funny part about it is when I came back, they all survived.
Wow.
They didn't need Gerry Cooney. They were just using Gerry Cooney. Oh, we were both using each other
Yeah.
for some uncrazy need.
So she was doing the best she can under the
Yeah.
circumstances, obviously. It seems like she was a good mom.
She was a great mom. She loved everybody. We loved everybody. She wanted everybody to have everything they wanted. You know what happened to me? I was paying her a bunch of money every month. And I went over the house one day, and there was 3 Sports Illustrated. I said, Mom, what's that? Well, I got to give money to this person and give money to that person and give money to that person. She wanted to fix everybody. But it was my money she was giving away from everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? But anyway, like she said, she didn't know how to, she never was rich, never was wealthy.
Yeah.
She didn't know how to deal with it.
And you started your fighting career as pretty much a street fighter. You would just fight people, right? Was that just getting some of the anger
No,
out?
you know what I was when I was a kid? I was from growing up in my house, I used to beat up bullies.
Right.
And people that bullied people, I don't like them very much.
Right.
And I would fight them people. And it was dumb.
Right.
Dumb. That was my expression for me to feel like somebody.
Yeah.
And then when they put my picture in the Golden Gloves, on the back page of the Daily News every week, it was like, then I was made. I didn't have to fight no more outside.
How'd you get the bug to be a professional boxer and go down that road?
Well, I never really applied myself. I was the guy from growing up in my house. I sat in the back of the room. I never raised my hand, out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah.
And so I passed, but I didn't really explore myself. I didn't, try different things, or I just stayed in the back of the room. So boxing, when my friends were going away to college, I had to think about a family and surviving and making money. And so the next best thing for me was turning pro.
Wow, unbelievable. And then you had an unbelievable amateur career. Golden Gloves.
I had a lot of fun. But, and that was really fun, too. But back then, I started drinking when I was 12. So after every fight, we'd go out to these little woods and partied up.
That
every-
I didn't know. I thought the drinking started kind of like when
No,
we all
12.
start drinking, 15, 16, 17. It was 12.
Can I tell you a story? When I was 12,
Please.
had a bottle of Boone's Farm apple wine.
It's always a terrible
held
alcohol
my
that we
nose.
all drink for the first time.
I held my nose and drank the bottle down.
The whole bottle.
And I got, all of a sudden, this big hole I've been carrying around, not good enough, went away. I felt attractive. I felt like I fit in. People liked me.
Yeah.
And I got so sick that night, crawling on the floor, listening to some guy say, listen, what'd you let him drink like that for?
Right.
And I thought to myself, I'm never going to do this again, right? The next morning when I woke up, I forgot all about that part. The part I remembered was when that hole went away in my chest, and I felt like I fit in. I was funny. Girls liked me. And that's what took me on the road.
At 12.
12.
I had no idea. For me, it was
It
Blackbird.
wasn't every day or so, once a week or something, back then.
Yeah.
But it wasn't every single day. But you just keep moving up the ladder.
For me, it was blackberry brandy. Because that was the only thing that was in my father's liquor cabinet that, no one wanted. Obviously, got it from a friend or something. It was sitting there. Everything else was gone. So the only thing we could find was
I liked
blackberry
blackberry
brandy. You liked blackberry brandy? It
Yeah,
was
man. I got
terrible.
sick on it a few times, but it wasn't like I drank it by the bottle.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first drink, Chris Algieri?
Yeah, it was piss warm Schlitz. I remember got from my brother. It was like literally he found it in like he was hiding it in bushes.
Yeah.
And then he gave it to me. So it was like skunked and old and shit. I got so sick.
Oh my God.
Did you drink a lot too back in the day?
Yeah. I still drink. I still like to drink. In
you're
between
okay,
fights
you
and
can
stuff.
handle
Yeah, I can handle it. I'm fine. But yeah, no, I mean,
Think about it.
Yeah,
I
it is at the
don't
fights.
even know if you're 31, but April 21st, 1988 was my last drink.
Yes, it was.
Are you 31 yet?
I'm 35, but
Ooh.
I still wasn't born.
So you haven't drank in 31 years. I want to get to that point.
Anything.
That's amazing. So in Gentle Giant, the amateur career, what was your record as an amateur?
Gentleman Gerry.
What is it called?
Gentleman Gerry.
Gentleman Gerry. I wrote that down wrong. I like the title The Gentle Giant better.
He's, it fits the guy.
Where were you when we were naming the book? I would come to the radio station up there, and I always come look for you.
I appreciate it,
Because
man.
it was a lot of fun. You always had a lot of fun going on back there. And,
Yeah, we had a good run
but
over
listen,
there.
you landed good, man. I feel happy for you.
Oh, good, man. I appreciate that. So, what was your record as an amateur?
57-3.
57-3 as an amateur. That's a lot of fights.
Yeah, but I didn't get a chance. Here's a story. You'll read it in the book. I don't want to tell you all of it, but I had all knockouts in my international bouts as an amateur, and
Yeah.
I was fighting. They told me when I came back from Europe to stay in shape because the Russians were coming, and I had the third-ranked Russian.
Right.
So I said, yeah, okay. I was partying every night, And 6 days before the fight, they called me, told me, the fight's on. I said,
Right.
oh my God. I ran for 6 days. I ran to get in shape 6 days, and I went in the ring with this guy. A lot of Cooney fans there, loonies for Cooney. It was a
Right.
great time in the garden.
Yeah.
And so I went out, the bell rang, fell. I hit him with a hook on the chin, knocked him out dead, cold, in the first round. And thank God, because if I didn't, he'd have killed me.
That's the best.
Thank God.
So,
Thank God.
so the first bump in your career, now you're moving toward the Olympics, 1976.
Yeah, so I get a phone call
Yeah.
after that fight from the Colonel Hull, I think was his name, and he told me you made it to the Olympic finals, the
Right.
top 8 guys. You go to Colorado Springs and fight it out, and then the top 2 go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
I said, I'm really sorry, I can't make it. My father's sick. I got to stay close to my family. He said, Gerry, this is the Olympic trials. You want to come? 3 times he asked me.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to be able to go. He said, you sure? And I hung up the phone that day, and that was 10% true about my father.
Right.
90% was, well, am I going to go there and look bad? I'm going to look shitty. I'm not going to make it. Why am I going to go make a fool of myself? And it's one of the 2 top regrets in my life
Yeah.
that really follow me to
So
today.
you lacked the self-confidence because of what your dad did
Right.
to you as a kid, to the point where your skills were unbelievable and you were still believing that you weren't that person. It's
Right.
the imposter syndrome.
Well, whatever it was, and it's a great thing for me today because every day I get a chance to work around kids and
Right.
people and promote them, push
Right.
them to be better, to ask the question. When first time I put down a drink, I was at a meeting and I heard somebody say, "Can you help me?"
Right.
And I thought, wow, you can say that here?
Yeah.
And I've been asking that question for 31 years now.
Yeah.
And then the second day in my life was May 11th, 1981. I'm fighting Kenny Norton in the Garden.
Yes.
I'm ranked number 1 in the world.
Yes.
And I could have beat anybody that night. Anybody in the world you put me in, I would beat anybody.
Right.
That's how great shape I was in. And So, I always wanted, when the bell rang, I wanted to let the guy feel my power, hit him a couple of shots. I hit him with a body shot, and he buckled a little bit. So I said, wow, let me take a little shot here. I spun him into the corner, and 54 seconds into that first round, he was out cold.
Yeah.
And
Ken Norton.
Ken Norton. And so that night, you think I would have said to myself, well, I better take care of myself. I better get a good trainer. I better, get conditioned, and I better get ready because I'm fighting Holmes.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened. What happened that night was I had an old girlfriend who got me into some cocaine, which allowed me to drink a quarter scotch a night. And for the next so many months, that's what I did. And I thought I could handle it.
That's why this book is amazing, because was that the first night you did cocaine after the Ken Norton
Right,
fight?
right.
How unbelievable is
So,
that?
Gerry, you told me that story. We were at the Paramount in Huntington together. You and I, we were watching the Canelo Alvarez-Floyd Mayweather fight.
Right.
Yeah.
I had fought that night at the Garden, at Paramount.
Yeah.
I scored a knockout, and then we watched the fight in the Paramount for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Gerry and I are sitting next to each other, and we're watching the fight, we're talking boxing. And you told me that story, and you said, Chris, you know when my career ended? And I said, I don't know. He goes, the night I fought Kenny Norton. And I was like, what?
That night.
That was
over.
That was the best thing you ever did. He goes, yeah, but that was the night I tried cocaine.
That was the pinnacle of
I think what happened was that's when the pressure hit me.
Right.
And it was all this, I'm in the big world now. What am I going to do? And from my childhood coming up, that hit me then. And so I wanted to numb out.
So you wanted to just blow everything up.
Yeah.
Powerful
I mean,
stuff,
I went into the fight. I fought my ass off.
Right.
But
And that,
I didn't have the experience. King kept everybody from me.
Right.
He kept. He didn't want me gaining experience. I didn't sign with him.
Right.
So he didn't let me fight those guys. And I'm sure it had to do with my managers too. My managers wanted to make the big paycheck.
Yeah. Well,
$10 million paycheck.
Well, they were protecting you. And, if you took a lesser fight and you lost, then,
No, they were protecting their own interests.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Where I really
That's
needed,
what I
needed to fight. Like I trained with Witherspoon. I trained with a bunch of those guys.
Yeah.
I needed to be in the ring with those guys.
Right.
I needed to even lose.
Yeah.
Like you talk about Anthony Joshua. He talked about it the last couple of years. Listen, it's not so bad to lose a fight.
Right.
And so he went out and lost
Right.
this past couple of weeks ago. But I'm hoping he can make it back and learn from that mistake.
Yeah, you talk about Don King. He controlled the whole game. And if
those days, now he's shot.
No, I understand that. And Don King, you weren't with Don King, so he didn't want to put any of his fighters up against
me.
you, because if you win, then he loses a lot of
Not
action.
just that, but I gained experience from those fights.
Right.
That when I finally fight Holmes, I take that experience into the ring.
Sure.
To have more confidence and to be more understanding and looking for open, whatever the game.
So between Ken Norton and Larry Holmes,
13 months.
It was 13 months.
Yeah, hey, 13 months.
That's not too bad
I
considering.
wasn't too good.
No, you wanted to fight in between there a little bit,
Yeah.
but it didn't happen. And then in the book, going through the Larry Holmes fight, I felt like I was there. The
Right.
details on that fight is unbelievable, and you're talking about your self-doubt and not feeling like you belong here and stuff, and still being a warrior right to the end with Larry Holmes.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was so angry with him because the black-white thing just was killing me. I had 5 or 6 guys I went to school with.
Yeah.
And
Well, they were calling you the Great White Hope.
But I went to school. I went to training camps with my 4 or 5 of my friends. We hung out. We were like living a dream. Like,
Yeah.
This wasn't supposed to happen to us.
Yeah.
We're in Vegas. I'm eating turtle soup.
Yeah.
What I mean, come on. I mean, that's how crazy it was. And we were there. We laying by the pool.
Right.
All the bunnies. Everybody was out there. It was a dream.
But that's
so
how-
I wasn't thinking about black and white thing.
No.
And
That was everybody else. They figured this is a great way to promote this
Oh,
fight.
that was King.
Because the racial crap in this country was like, yeah, King. So Gerry Cooney is the Great White Hope, because when was the last time there was a white heavyweight
I think Gerry
champion?
Quarry was a guy.
Maybe
yeah.
Quarry was the last one. And you didn't want any part of that, but also, what could you do?
No, listen. So Holmes has got his mailbox blown up.
Yeah.
Someone put something in his mailbox.
Yeah, I remember all this.
I got a package one day sent to me. I didn't know, so I opened it up. It was looked like a dead rat.
Right.
And actually, what it was we had a guy.
Don King's hairpiece.
It was no. It was the guy who used to carry our bag. We used to have a lot of bags back in the day, like 30, 40 bags. We traveled with us, right?
Yeah.
And it was his wig that he had left in Palm
Okay,
Springs.
it was. Okay.
But it was kind of scary.
Right.
So when I went into that fight, I really didn't care. I wanted to just hit him one time because I was so pissed at him.
Right.
And in the center of the ring, when Mills Lane gives us instructions, And he looks at me and says, "Let's have a good fight." How do you?
Larry said that?
Yeah. So it all went away
It all
that
went
night.
away.
Right.
And him and I today are greatest of friends.
I heard you guys are very close.
We do a lot of stuff together all year long. We're making money together and
Right.
having a bunch of laughs. And I'm knowing his family better. And
Right.
he's meeting my family. So it's all good. It's amazing.
How did that fight end again?
I can't remember.
Yeah, good for
Took too
you.
many shots.
But you went
Hell of a
pretty-
fight, though.
You
Hell of
went
a
you
fight.
went the distance, right?
No. I got stopped in the 13th round.
Oh,
my
it was the
trainer, my
13th
trainer for the
round.
round.
Oh, that's right. He jumped in.
Yeah.
And he was trying to save you, even though he knew you would have not.
I was getting back up. I was up.
Yeah, you
I was
weren't going to
up.
go down, but
No.
your trainer at the time is thinking, at this point, it's going to damage Gerry Cooney as far as his life goes.
Larry was a really bad dude at that time.
Right.
He was
One
a great
of,
fighter. He was
one of
the
the most
best.
dangerous heavyweights around.
Well, I don't know. Cooney went. You pretty much went the distance with the
Well, it's
guy.
all
That's
good,
pretty
you know,
amazing.
but here's the story, right?
Yeah.
So, had I won that fight,
Yeah.
I would not be sitting in this room with you guys right now because my life was so fast.
I was going to ask you that.
I would be dead. I bet I would be dead now because my life was crazy. They had the jet waiting for me. The president had a phone line to my room. Everything was going crazy for me. It was like, what the hell? Where did I come from?
Can I stop you for a second?
Not really. Oh, yeah. Right.
Because it's in the book. So they put for the Larry
Hey,
Holmes.
we got to get people to buy this book.
Oh no!
Tell them everything.
I'm leaving chunks
I'm
out.
just
Trust
teasing.
me.
I'm just teasing.
So the Holmes Cooney fight. In case you won, they did put a special phone line in your locker.
President Reagan.
President Reagan, but they didn't put one in Larry Holmes's locker room.
Right.
And that got out. Like, wow, man! If
Well,
that,
I think they looked at me as an American guy,
Hero.
young kid.
Yeah.
You know, with good values.
Right.
And they didn't know what was really going on with me. I was
Yeah.
really messed up inside my head, and I hadn't thought about therapy or putting down the booze at that time. I just didn't
yeah,
have the coping skills.
and you made $10 million for that fight. Is that true?
Yes. Actually, it was $8.5 million.
$8.5 million. That's a lot of money
Back
And the only
then.
thing,
especially back then.
right. The only other thing was that my managers, with one of their partners, formed a promotional company,
Right.
Tiffany Promotions, and they co-promoted the fight with Holmes.
Right.
I never saw any of that money.
Yeah.
Really?
It wasn't right, yeah. But that shit happens. This is just boxing, you know.
Wait, how
this is
that-
what happens in boxing.
how
You
did-
find it after. I mean, we all have had shit.
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
Right.
And you always find out later.
Out of the $8.5 million, you didn't see a dollar?
Oh
of
no,
it?
no, $8.5 million was fine. But I'm talking about the extra money they made.
Oh, I see.
What-
Okay,
they
I
made half
gotcha.
of what King made.
That's crazy. And they weren't in that ring battling it out like a
Right.
warrior with Larry Holmes.
And one of the guys died, Mike Jones, and the other guy, Rapport.
Yeah.
He's around. I had to forgive those guys too.
Yeah.
I don't got no time.
you didn't have
or
time for
space
that.
in my head to let them run around in my head.
So between the Ken Norton and Larry Holmes fight, the partying was just the cocaine, everything was
It wa-
completely out of control?
Come on, listen, man. You kidding me? It wasn't bad to be Gerry Cooney at that time.
Right.
Anywhere, everywhere I went, there was everything I ever wanted to think I could ever have, and then more.
Wow.
And I was like, how many times can you say? You know, I remember 20 Minutes was filming me up in the Catskills.
Yeah.
It was 3 below zero, and I had a beard. There's another funny story. And there was icicles hanging off my beard. And the guys asked me, "How you feeling?"
Yeah.
And then I had just done the Norelco commercial.
Yeah.
And then 3 times they sent me letters with me with pictures with beards on.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to be shaving every day.
Yeah.
Right? So I wound up losing that gig from that.
And you lost the gig just because you
Well,
wouldn't shave.
Well, you know, because when I went to training camp, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
you
don't
want to
deal
let
with
it all
I
go.
don't deal with anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's common. I do the same thing.
The frustrating part about your career, and I was just a kid when you.
Well, the very frustrating part of my career is I didn't win the championship.
yeah, but
It
that
saved my life.
like you said, it saved your life, but this is where I bring it around to Huntington. Like, I was just a kid, and you were everything to Long Island and
Wow.
everything to a lot of people in the
I
country.
love hearing that.
And then after the Larry Holmes fight, it was so frustrating as a fan of yours to see the stutter step, and
Right.
and you took, what, like 2 years off after the Larry Holmes fight?
Well, you know what? My managers hated each other. I was always in the middle.
Right.
And I couldn't stand it at
Right.
that point. And I just, as a matter of fact, the Beatles had me coming on Sirius. There's a Beatles network station, and they want me to say what my 4 favorite songs are. And one of them was, John Lennon wrote it, "I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round." You know the song?
Of course I do.
And HBO did a special on me, and I asked them to play that song.
Right.
And I was just leave me alone for a while. I gotta just leave me alone.
Right.
And it was a really important, hard time in my life.
Right.
And I get chills when I tell you that story about that song. But that's what happens to us sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, we numb out.
Right.
We get busy.
Right.
We don't think about really our lives.
Right.
And then it hits us
Yeah.
at times, and we try and run.
Yeah.
And then there's no more running.
Right. So, but you're and you weren't even in your prime officially.
No, I was only 25 years old.
And then Larry Holmes, you fought him to the point where you had a lot of respect in the boxing community, and you absolutely should have had a ton more big fights.
I don't know why there was not a rematch. In today's time, we would have had a second fight.
In a second.
And I would have jumped in that for a second.
Well, it's because you hit him with that body shot. And what round was that?
Yeah,
Left hook to the body. Boy.
Yeah.
He told me he crawled back to the corner that time, but I also hit him with a low blow.
A few low blows.
Well, he was pulling my head down. He was a smart guy.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to get that shot in the body, so he was pulling my head down. It went low, so it looked bad for me. But,
So he's thinking, I'd rather take this punch to the balls.
It doesn't hurt.
Well,
Look,
I know
did
you got
ever
protection
did
to
you
a
ever get
point.
low?
Many times.
Does it ever hurt?
I rarely ever acknowledge it. And
Right.
I get yelled at, like, yo, tell the ref, because they can, they can take a point. But,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't really hurt that bad.
No.
It
Yeah.
really doesn't. And there are some shots.
It's a
you can
big
get.
cup you got on.
It's a
there,
really
yeah.
big cup, and guys have gloves on. It's not, it's not like you get hit in your.
So
in your
part of
head.
it, your people couldn't get you the fight, but you also were tapping out for a while. Like I'm done right now.
I just buzzed out. You know, I had to get to myself, between my family, between my life, between the women in my life, all those things going on. I just was like, I got to chill out, man. I got to get away.
And then after Larry Holmes, you fought again. What, over 2 years later?
Yeah, I'd take a fight when I get scared.
Right.
I was partying too much.
Yeah.
Where's my water? Is that me?
That's you. Yeah.
And I would take another fight. And my managers would jump right in and get me another fight.
Right.
And then I'd wait for 2.5 years to fight Spinks.
That's crazy.
And I was drinking. I was in a training camp. I said, I'd go to training tomorrow. I went to training camp. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, it's on. So 2.5 years. So by the time I got in there with him, I was shot. And that was the time when I really had the hold of myself. Woke up in 20 minutes to 11 in East Hampton at my house. Loaded, hungover. And I thought to myself, wow, what happened to you, bro? What's going on with you? And I said, I quit. I'm going to quit this day. And I quit that day, went about my day. Next day I woke up, guess what? 20 minutes to 11. Hungover. And that was the day I got scared. And I said, I got to get some help. Called somebody, and I went down to talk with them, and they said, you don't have to stay here. If you can't make it outside, I'll always have room for you. And I finally put it down. And it wasn't my last time I drank. About 4 months into that recovery, someone told me, I better be careful because I'm going to drink again. I said, you out of your mind? I'm never going to drink again.
Yeah.
I met somebody, picked up a joint, which led to a drink, and 2 months later, I finally put it down for good.
Wow.
And I ran into a guy. I don't know how this happened. He told me, "Come on, let's stop at the." I said, "Let's stop at the pancake house and have some breakfast." So I went in there. This guy was my bodyguard, Jack B.
Yeah.
From New York, was sitting there. He said, "Sit down, Jeremy. I want to tell you, I have 3 years today,
Wow.
and you never have to drink again." And that was my last time I ever drank.
That is unbelievable.
Amazing story.
What's stuck in you that?
God came. I really think that God came to me at those times of my lowest.
Yeah.
And said, "Hey kid, let me hang out with me for a while." You know the story about I was walking with God in the sand, and every time I was in bad trouble,
Yeah.
there was only one set of footprints,
Yeah.
and the guy said, "God, every time I was in trouble,
Yeah.
you weren't even there." He said, "No, my son, that was when I was carrying you."
Right. Right.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I believe in it. I
And,
believe in
and you
God.
believed in that.
Yeah.
And even the Leon Spinks fight, you were.
It was Michael Spinks, not Leon.
Oh, it was Michael.
I was
Sorry.
I was out of my mind. I was drinking going into the fight.
Right.
You were in that fight.
But
Yeah,
you
I
were
was
in that fight.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't in that fight. I was someplace far, far away.
Well, you were a tough guy, so no matter what, you were going to take a beating
Michael
in the
Spinks
ring
could never
against
beat
anyone.
me any day in my life if I was healthy.
Does that frustrate you at all, the lost opportunity, even though, as you said earlier, the fact is if you were heavyweight champion, you wouldn't be with us today. But
Right.
do you still have regrets and are frustrated by the fact that these guys beat you knowing on your best day they wouldn't have come close?
Listen. I mean, is that a part of it? Would I have liked to have really taken a shot, being clean and healthy? Yeah, but it didn't work out that way.
Right.
It worked out the way it worked out, and I had to let it go and move on. I mean, that's not waiting for me.
I love that answer. I really love that answer.
And I had to make peace.
Because of your frustrations of losing to Leon Spinks and possibly
Michael
Larry.
Spinks, say it again, I got my
sorry,
head
God.
spread.
Why do I
Leon's
keep saying Leon?
Leon's a good friend of mine. He's a great guy.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I keep saying it. That led
Down goes Opie. Down goes Opie.
Sorry, Michael Spinks. I don't know, but that led to you being frustrated. Like, wow, I could have beat these guys, but that led to your sobriety.
I went out by myself to my place in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
Hung out there for a while. Hooked up with some old man. I love this guy. We used to drink in the daytime, and then one day that happened to me. I woke up and said, "Hey, I gotta grab a hold of myself. I'm falling apart."
So, what do you say to people that feel like they can't get out of their addiction?
Get help. You know, make a phone call. You know, go to a meeting, talk to somebody. You know, and make a stand. For me, I had a problem with two things in my life. One was work. Hated work.
Right.
And the other one was commitment. And so, I had to learn to make a commitment and make a stand. I'm saying I'm going to do this for 6 months. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to drinking.
Right.
But I worked on my life, and I found out who I was and where my frailties were and how I fell and why I fell.
Yeah.
And so, how was I not supposed to be doing what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I didn't have any other answers.
Yeah, but you're a special human being because most people would not have. Right, Chris.
No,
He talks about it casually, but that took more strength than fighting Larry Holmes or anybody to get to the place you are today.
And that's great.
I think even this is more impressive. Your second act,
right?
The way that you are now and who you are and what you're doing with it is incredible.
Yeah.
Well, and this is what's so good about the book. It's about, making a stand and getting up to the bat in front of that crowd of 20,000 people and swinging at that ball and making a commitment for yourself and changing and growing and I want to be more intimate with my wife.
Right.
I want to be more intimate with my kids, my friendships.
Right.
Because I always had shallow half hours. You know what that is, right?
No.
You meet the pretty girl, you get her to like you, you get her to love you. Once she loves you, you don't know what to do anymore, so you move on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Talking about your fights too, like you were an animal, a savage, a warrior in that ring.
When I was a kid, I was a beast.
All the way to the end, you were a beast. Stop downplaying it. You really were.
I was a beast.
Right to the end, you were a beast in that ring. Chris, thank you, Chris, for helping me out here today.
Total beast.
But what I love too was you also gave a shit about the boxer and was worried you hurt him and all this.
It's a real sportsman.
Yeah, you were a real sportsman through the whole process.
Well, I mean,
it showed your gentle soul.
When it did that night, I was fighting Norton. It sure did. Every time I came around and looked at the referee, he wasn't saying nothing, and it felt very good.
Yeah,
I came back with the other one. So that was 4 punches from death that night. So we have an animal side of us that comes out. That I do not want that guy to stand up again and do this to me. So you're going to take him out of there.
Right.
When your bell rings, I'm a gladiator.
Yeah.
He's a gladiator. You got to take that out. But now in life, listen, 99% of fighters end up broke. That's a devastating number.
That is a fact.
And I'm sure it bleeds into other sports as well.
Yeah.
We need to make a stand. I tell kids, go to the commission, look at contracts, find out what's in there. What are you signing? Because I didn't know. My father died. I signed a contract for 16 years, little did I know.
16 years.
Extension.
Right.
And so I never went, I never visited it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know they were doing what they were doing.
And that kind of fucked you up too, because the whole Don King had a hold on all the big
I'm all good.
fighters. I know you're all good, but the story's worth telling, Gerry. It's amazing. So when you got sober, did some people say you replaced an addiction for something else? How were you able to avoid that?
I was riding the bike 30, 40 miles a day. I was working out. I was training. I was traveling. I was playing tennis. I was doing it all. I was a lucky man.
Right.
Had a place in Florida. I'd go in the winter times and. Life was great for me. I mean, and I'm blessed to say that's out there for everybody that's struggling today.
Yeah.
If you make a stand and ask for help and listen, and that's the real story about the book. Is I was almost there. From as fearful as I was growing up, to be able to climb up those 4 steps and fight Larry Holmes for the championships, that's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
But at the time, I thought this is what I had to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
No, it's an unbelievable rise.
And so it's
from where you were,
and it's been fun. And I've been watching this guy.
Chris Algieri.
He took over Long Island.
Yeah.
My man, he's a star out there.
First
now.
it was you in Huntington, then it was me, and now it's Chris Algieri.
Now it's Chris Algieri.
Who gives a shit about me when I walk around Huntington? They care about Chris Algieri now.
And Chris, I'll tell you what. I've been thinking about you for so long. We're Instagram pages together, right?
Yeah.
And you have so many skills. I don't know why you put it down for so long. In your heyday.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
It was good stuff you did, right?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
When he really walked away from boxing for
like 2.5 years.
Did you have to walk away?
I was forced to, a little bit.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had some contractual issues, some court stuff. I also had some injuries I had to take care of, but it was more the court stuff.
And now I understand. I never understood it before.
Everybody's like, well, you retired? I'm like, no, it was not by my design at all.
Wow.
I missed a lot of good years.
So you had to wait out a contract, basically?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was battling in court to get things right, which Gerry was alluding to earlier about what kind of contracts we signed when we were young. You think you're signing a 5-year contract, it turns into a 16-year contract, unbeknownst to you.
Yeah.
Because when you first start out, I had no money, I didn't have a lawyer. I just signing paperwork. It looks
Yeah.
Why are these guys gonna try and fuck me?
Right.
Yeah. But that's boxing.
I lucked out when my radio career first started, and we were blowing up through Boston and then moved to New York. There was a guy that wanted to represent us, and he represented Bozo the Clown, and he invited me and Anthony to the mall in Boston. I'll never forget this. And he had a huge black guy. It's important to the basically that I should just say a huge person, let's say, but a black guy, which I guess was more intimidating. I don't know. And he had contracts for us to sign. Basically, he was trying to strong arm us to sign these contracts in a mall outside of Boston because he knew that this rocket ship, which turned out to be the Opie and Anthony show, was going to be massive. Mm-hmm. And something in my head, because I was kind of controlling that at the time, was like, we have to step away. This is no bueno.
Pump the brakes, baby. Pump the brakes.
You said step away, but what you really did is you ran your ass off.
Oh, of course, yes. with the big black guy chasing us with a Starbucks in his hand. And then, we lucked out and we got a decent, agent after that, thank God. But we were just as close as you guys with the bullshit with the early manager thinking they could,
It's everything. The music industry is the same way. That's why I always liken it when I tell people about like boxing, like what it's like dealing with motors. It's like, you got a record label and they're trying to get as much as they can out of you.
Right.
I hate to tell you guys, but it's in every area and facet of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
You got to be careful.
When you have talent that needs to be represented, people
But
take
when we
advantage.
turn pro, we're so excited. We're getting money. They're going to pay me every week.
Yeah.
I'm going to have an apartment for myself.
Right.
I don't got to pay anything back if I don't make it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
And then you walk in the streets and you're the man. You're Gerry Cooney in Huntington.
And then you find out you signed this contract for 16 years.
Yeah.
4 years with a 4-year term with another and a 4-year extension. It was like, what?
Yeah, it's like 7 years in, and you're like, wait a second, didn't I sign a 5-year contract? And then you look, and it's like, oh no, you owe us 7 more. Like, how?
My God.
How?
Yeah, and like you guys said, the music industry was the same way with these bands that had massive albums. They're touring their asses off because it's, because they're hoping to finally make some money to pay after paying back the record company.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, a million stories like that too, man. So then you get sober. You're in East Hampton. You get your life together, and then
hanging out with Billy Joel and all the great guys out, the people out in the Hamptons. It was a lot of
Billy
fun.
Joel was tipping back though. So how do you hang out?
He was on and off. I mean,
how do you hang out with?
Hang out with him regularly. We'd see each other. He was out in. He had a beautiful place out there in the Amagansett or somewhere near there, and but I mean, just everybody was out there.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I had a scooter.
Yeah.
I used to ride a scooter. I got a
6'6"
motorcycle license. It looked like Baby Yuli.
Yeah, of course.
But you could park anywhere with a scooter.
Yeah.
And then I went up getting a couple of motorcycles, and then
and you did some sailing.
Sailing.
Did you have a tiny little sailboat?
I had a 16-foot sailboat,
Oh,
a Nautica, and I took 4 or 5 of my friends out with it. One small boat crafts in effect.
Right.
The mast snapped over.
No kidding.
We were lucky we didn't die.
Oh my God.
We did all the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Drinking, partying. It was funny.
What?
It was a lot of fun. Listen, I'm not going to say it wasn't fun.
Right.
I did everything I ever possibly could think of doing, and then some.
Right.
But today I regret it, most of it, because it wasn't really about. It was just about filling that hole, avoiding growing up, because I didn't want to look at myself because I was told I wasn't no good.
Well, it's tough to take a look at yourself and try to do some self-improvement. I've been going through that the last few years, and sometimes you're like,
You know what? When I got through it and looked at myself, I said, you know what? I'm okay.
Right.
I made it.
Yeah, you did.
I made it the hard way.
Could you walk us through your last fight? So you're sober for about a year and a half. A year and a half.
A little bit over a year.
A little over a year when you get the fight to fight George Foreman when he was doing his second half of his career.
Right. Now I'm promoting George Foreman. I got cooked in. A couple of good stories. I bought a half of Roberto Duran's contract for $25,000.
Wow.
And I brought my partner in at the time, and 10,000 of it was guaranteed back.
Right.
Duran wins, gets a shot at Davey Moore.
Oh wow.
Knocks Davey Moore
Good
out in the
timing.
garden 8 rounds, and then we get a shot at the third or fourth Leonard fight.
Wow.
And that was a nice deal.
Yeah.
So in that time, I'm promoting fights with not really know much about what I'm doing. I'm pounding out these guys, learning some stuff, and I'm promoting Foreman. And one time I'm sober, I'm feeling great. I said, you know, we should fight sometime. And he said, yeah, like that, we should do that. And then the fight got made.
Wow.
And so I got in shape. I wasn't drinking, smoking, none of that stuff. I was healthier. But the guy is 270 pounds.
George Foreman, man.
And I went out and I caught him with a shot, which was my worst mistake, because Gil Clancy wanted me to move around for 6 or 7 rounds, which I didn't. At the time, I didn't want to back up.
Right.
And so I caught him. And when that's when I got caught with an uppercut, as a heavyweight, you get caught with a shot. It's with the game. So,
That's it.
but it helped me. What it did for me was that I lost that fight that night. Got stopped. It helped me to turn the page.
Right.
That was stuck for so long. Turn the page and get on with my life. Okay,
Right.
I did it. I did what I did. I was sober. I did it.
Yeah.
Now let's get on with life. Let's go live.
How hard does George Foreman punch? That's legendary
He's a
too.
beast. He's a beast.
But he said you punched the hardest.
Yeah, I heard that on David Letterman or something. They said that.
Yes.
That's so awesome that he said that.
Well, it's nothing. So
That is awesome. And you almost fought Tyson too during that period.
Tyson. They were talking about Ali at one time.
Right.
But anyway, it turned out the way it was supposed to be. You know. what I
Yeah.
mean? And today it's a dream I live
Right. So
every day.
So you turned the page after that Foreman fight. You were like, "I'm good." Were you really good in your head, Jerry? Like, "I'm good, and I can finally move on from boxing."
I had to.
I
I had to move on.
Or an active fighter.
There was no maybe ifs anymore. I had to move on. I turned the page and said, okay, here's a bright sunny day. Let me get on with my life. And I stayed alone for a
Right.
year. And I want to stay away from women and everything to learn about myself. I met this beautiful girl about 11 months into my recovery. And it's been the best time. I can't wait to go to bed with my wife tonight.
You've been with her since?
Every day. We're going to celebrate 25 years in
Wow.
in July.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
That is awesome. Do you know
3 great kids.
I ran into your son the other day, and we're now like becoming pals.
Which son? Christopher?
Yeah.
Really? Where?
Where I live, he lives close to me.
No kidding.
He stopped me on the street,
Wow.
and I'm like, and then we were talking about you. I said, man, your dad is like the greatest, man.
Well, his mother kept him from me when he was a kid. So we had so I didn't get to be with him until he was like, 18 or 20. And he's,
Wow.
Wait, you didn't really get to see him grow up?
No, because that was her way of,
But that's not right.
well, of course it's not right.
Sorry,
but that's
Jerry.
not right.
I
But
don't want
anyway,
to.
So today was better.
Yeah.
He just got married.
Yeah.
Didn't tell me.
Oh, really?
Met some beautiful girl.
Yes.
And he got married. I told him, do me a favor, just wait at least a year.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it. He got married. But it's so good. I love him. I love him.
typical father.
We're all going to make mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. We all fall down. Do we get up and dust our pants and move on? That's what the book's about. Getting up,
Right.
standing up, dusting my pants on, and moving. Don't stay stuck, because time is passing. I was 18 yesterday.
Are you good with Christopher's mom these days, or is it
Yeah, I
still?
pray for her every day. She's had some stuff in her life, and I want her to be happy. I want all people to be happy.
And you were married to her when?
I was never married to her.
Oh, okay.
And we went out for a while, and I was away in training camp. We'd see
Yeah.
each other. It was great. Come home for a couple of days. It was great.
Yeah.
But then when I came home full time, it just wasn't.
It didn't work.
Didn't work for me.
And then she kind of held a grudge, unfortunately, for a while there.
Yeah.
That sucks.
That's all good.
No, I know it's all good now, Jerry, but these stories are important because I think it helps a lot of people because we all go through shit.
Right.
And you're sitting here in front of me like you're an unbelievable person with a kind soul that no, and you help so many people.
That's my job. That's my lot in life, and that's my joy. Not that I have to tell you about it, but the joy is watching somebody grow, jump over that fence, have the courage to jump over the fence
Yeah.
and stand there by yourself, be naked,
Yeah.
and that's the joy for me today.
No, I've known you for a few years now, and when you're in a room, the light shines, brother.
Hey man,
The
I
light
love it.
shines.
I love it, baby. I love people.
People just light up when
I
they're
love
around
in your
you.
room when I was in your room back in the day.
Well, we loved it to a
We
point,
lit up.
but you would punch everybody, and we all like.
He got me into punching everybody.
It just sucked.
You never got it.
Because I had the big console between
I
us,
could have been over there in a second.
and
bro.
I would go, "Hey," and everyone that we had in the studio back then, I'm like, "Hey, you want a punch from Gerry Cooney?" Because that's
No.
kind of a cool thing. It's a story to tell.
No, it's not.
No, that's the funny part because any other boxer would just give you, a cute little shot. Jerry's
Not
like,
Jerry.
all right.
I would never
and you,
hit any- I never
No,
hit
you were
anybody.
still holding back, but
I never hit anybody.
but even the holding back punch would just sucked. Give him a tap.
Can I fight with both arms?
Yeah.
If you want me to.
No, I don't want you to.
One arm's good.
Okay.
Cooney, give him a tap. Give him a tap.
I can't do that.
Come on, there's something right there.
That was 5%.
Come on, dude.
I can't do that. Boom.
The chair moved 2 feet.
Jesus Christ, dude. You could have just asked me to move over. Oh my God.
What the?
No, come on.
What
dude.
percent was that really?
That
I
was
think I
like
just
3%,
remembered
3%.
3%.
That's 3%. You all right, Theo?
Yeah, I'm okay, I think. Jesus.
His neck is a little jarred.
Yeah, neck is a little jarred.
You know, years ago, I had this kid from Notre Dame, and he was a great football player, and he told me one night, come on, hit me. He's in great shape. He had his 8-pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit me, come on, hit me. I hit him. I didn't see him for like 4 months. He started ripped muscles in his body.
The only people who ask for stuff like that are people who've never boxed.
Right,
They don't
exactly.
understand. They don't
Yeah.
understand how hard we can really hit you.
Yeah. It's
If we want.
It's very impressive.
Well, not just that. It's the timing.
It's
You know, like I've seen this moves millions of times. When you're in there the first time I see it,
Right.
the next time you're going to pay.
Right.
And so, you know, I was supposed to do an exhibition last Saturday at the W Hotel in Hoboken. Every year I do it, but I have sciatica right now, my lower back, so I didn't get a chance to do it. But I trained this guy for a whole year. He's a national champion wrestler, Mike Breeze, and he's a tough kid. But he just doesn't understand. He thinks that he's an athlete can get me.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the same, yeah.
And that's just not going to happen.
No.
Could you tell me one story about Studio 54?
Studio 54 was unbelievable. I had a lot of friends that I made later on in life told me they used to see me while they were standing on line that went around the building.
Yeah.
Pull up in the limousine and I'd be going in there.
Yeah.
We had a St. Patty's Day parade there, a party. We had one time I was standing at the bar, and Nikki Haskell was a debutante back in the day, and I was standing with 4 beautiful, beautiful women, nice and tall. It was unbelievable. I turned to walk away to go to the bathroom and be right back, and she said, Gerry, those are men. I said, come on, don't tell me that. So I went to the bathroom, and I came back and went to the bar, and you could see all the atoms of it.
Oh, no way.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it's funny.
man.
Once you have it in your head, now you're looking, you're like, oh yeah, they are men.
It was crazy.
I see it now.
But I mean, there's so many great times. I mean,
I thought the story was going to
I'll tell you a story.
be different where you said, and it was Studio 54, so I said, what the hell?
tell you a really good story.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it made the book, but I'm in the back room, Studio 54, and they were passing a big bowl of cocaine. And
Bowl of cocaine.
I mean, a bowl.
So that shit was real.
Oh yeah, and then the next bowl was a bowl of heroin. Oh. And so when I said, "What's that?" and they said, "Well, it's heroin," I said, "What?" And I had to take a stand. I had to leave.
Wow.
The best thing I ever did in my
move,
life.
good
But
move.
how did you do that, considering what
I-
led up to that
I
that
guess
point in your life?
Somebody pushed me away. Maybe my higher power, whatever. It is. But I didn't get involved. Thank
Right.
God.
But it was truly a bowl of cocaine.
Yeah, and a bowl of heroin.
Wow.
That's insane.
That is insane.
I always tell a story. I never liked cocaine. I just thought it smelled good.
he goes, No, your partying was legendary.
Well, that was you know,
It
it was
was
so
legendary.
depressing, that stuff. So
I
depressing.
understand, but it's important to tell.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that
You can become
you
free
can continue helping.
and live your life. Yeah.
And what other? Did you really hang out with Sylvester Stallone? And
Well, I mean, I was on the cover of Time Life with him back in the
Yeah.
day. And, you know, he flew in from someplace. But I was training for some fight. I don't know which one. I think Norton. And I mean, we saw him around. He's a big, very big ego.
right,
Great guy. Did great things for his life. I knew all those people. And during that day, Dean Martin, I used to know.
Wow.
Frank Sinatra came to my camp a couple times.
That's cool.
Bob Hope boxed me.
I know on the
For the
Bob
Bob
Hope
Hope
show.
special.
Yeah,
And the funny part about it was he was called the Kansas City Chicken that night.
yeah,
And years ago as a kid, he boxed.
yeah.
So we get in the ring. He puts his gloves on. I get my gloves, and I go like this to him. I'm sorry, the audience can't see me, but and I go like that, and he goes. So we got the deal, and we had this great laugh.
Yeah.
And he was,
Well, he put on those giant boxing gloves for the comedy.
yeah, but I mean, I played like I was going to hit him,
No, I know.
and he went to cover
And
himself.
he went for
what
the
a
cover.
what a fighter would do.
Yeah.
And we laughed because that was the moment we had.
Right.
And from then on, he brought me up to his house. When he came to New York, he had his driver look for me for 3 days. I was crazy back in them days.
Right.
And brought me to his show with
Yeah.
my mother. So a lot of great things.
That's awesome. The other thing, thank God you saved a lot of your money, man.
You know what? I just did feel, right? I always knew that there was going to be a rainy day. And I knew what it was like to be poor. And I never wanted that. So I put my money safe away. And besides, at the time, I couldn't pay for anything. Everyone would come on.
Oh, right.
It's so funny. It's so funny. When you make it, you don't pay for anything.
Well, you know, and sometimes...
I'm paying for everything these days.
Listen,
Man, that was a great life.
Sometimes to a fault.
Yeah.
You know, people would, come on, let's come to my house.
Well, nothing's for free.
Take
but
my
yeah.
jet and come over there. Let's go. And I'm missing out on my training.
Right.
Yeah.
And after a while, it felt so good. You know, you fall prey to it.
Right.
They don't want it to happen.
Right.
But unconsciously, that's what happens.
When you stopped being the meal ticket for the people around you, that's when you found out who your real friends were, right? How did some people survive that and were true friends to you, or did you have just a complete wipeout? All these people went and turned their backs on you.
You know, I was kind of a loner, most fighters are.
Yeah. True.
So I had a bunch of guys I know. Listen, I know more people in the world today than I have ever known in my life.
Yeah.
And we have a nice conversation. Whenever we get together, I see them, we enjoy each other, we hug each other, we kiss each other, and then we move on until the next time.
Yeah.
And back then, I had some kids, they used to travel with me, keep me centered. They'd go away to camp. What, you want to fix that itch? Well, you got a little itch on his nose. I could wipe it off for the phone.
I like the way my nose looks. I'd like keep it the way it is.
How does he look like this,
Hey,
Gerry?
that's good. I'm surprised he's not modeling or doing movies.
no
somewhere.
kidding.
Oh, I do. I do that on the side, but boxing comes first.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And, life is good.
Yeah, life is
Yeah.
good.
You know,
like
I
hearing that.
go to the Outer Banks. You ever go to the Outer Banks?
I love the Outer Banks. Do you go
And
to
they
the
have
4x4 beach?
Yeah, they have all
with the
those-
horses.
Those T-shirts there says, "Life is good."
Yes.
I got a bunch of those T-shirts.
Well, of course. Outer Banks is one of my favorite places on earth. We haven't been there in a few summers, but
I'll tell you a story that happened to me.
yeah.
A couple of years ago, my brother was a great kid. He was clean too, and he took his kids skiing, came home, dropped them off. He had cameras in his house because he had guns, right? So he went outside, smoked a cigar, came in, cooked dinner, washed the dishes, sat on the couch, and a half hour later he was dead. And they didn't find him for 3 days, and so I went to see him. And I thought to myself, wow, you know, why do I keep saying I'm going to do this next year? Next year I'll get to that. Next year I'll get to that. And I realized that night and that day that I got to do it now. Now is my time.
Right.
Not tomorrow, not next year. And it was a great lesson. I think obviously God took him because he was a little bit, with those guns, he was just a little too wild for me. He was a little scary.
Right.
A great kid, hard electrician, made a lot of money. But something was crazy there, and I think God took him for a reason. But it was a lesson to me too, like, stop waiting. Now's my time.
Live in the present.
Yeah, man, get it done now.
So he didn't survive the demons from the household.
I mean, he was clean. He had a great life. He was had his own house and all that stuff. But I don't think he truly became happy with himself, and he needed all these things. And listen, sometimes it happens, but I believe God took him for a reason. And
Right.
And I pray for that kid too. But it's a lesson that we have to take away from that.
Right.
Is that, come on, let's get going.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
A lot of
Standing
people.
still.
A lot of people wonder when like a loved one goes, you know, and I think it's supposed to show us to live our fucking lives, right?
That's right. And
There's lessons to be
big
learned.
lesson for me.
I think there's lessons in everything, not everyone takes them. And I
Right.
think that's the thing I'm learning about you right now, Gerry, is how you've learned from every situation and how you've taken it with you and brought that into the second act that you are now.
Yeah, man, 'cause, you know, we don't know when our time is, but just aside from that serious stuff, it's all good. Life is good. You know what I mean, come on, man, listen.
He's gonna start jamming us. He's going into defense mode.
Listen, I had to drive.
like that
I had to
you
drive
open
to
up.
had to drive to Newark this morning because my son
Yeah.
forgot his boots. My kid's going to Lehigh University. He's going to be an engineer, and he forgot his boots this morning. So I had to drive to Newark.
Yeah.
Before I came to the city.
That's dad stuff right there.
So how many kids you got now?
I have 13. No, I have 3 kids. I have my
Three.
30-year-old Christopher.
Yep.
My Jackson is 21.
Okay.
And my daughter just turned 18.
Wow.
And she's going away to college next year. So we have an empty
How does
nest.
that
You did, man.
feel?
They're gone. They're out.
You know, it's just scary how fast
I have a
the time
daughter,
goes.
and I'm like,
You know, it's so scary how fast the time goes. Then you realize it's going fast for us too.
You think? The math doesn't work out anymore. I talk about that. It used to be like, oh, 20 years from now. And now it's like 20 years from now. God, you know what I mean? The
Yes.
math is not good anymore when you get to this age.
It's not.
So,
But
Gerry, man.
you go back to Huntington at all?
Not as much as I would like. I would love to live there.
Yeah.
Too much traffic for me.
Well, I mean, our village, Huntington Village, is becoming just
Insane.
insane.
Yeah,
With
it's
all
not
the
even-
restaurants, there's no parking, and then
You
you
don't
got
even
the,
want a car in there.
You got the beautiful Paramount that puts
I
on
love that.
boxing
Well,
matches and concerts.
He made
and
that live. This guy did.
The one thing in the book, which was very obvious, and then I've gotten to talk to Mike Tyson over the years, and
Sure.
I had Don King in studio. He's
Did
so
ya?
lovable in person, and you know what he's capable of doing. He does it with a big smile.
He's a deviant. Yeah.
He's very deviant. But in the book especially, the fight game is exhausting. What you guys have to deal with
I have no
managers
idea.
and waiting for fights like we went over in this podcast, and like you just brought up right there, Chris Algieri.
Well,
Like,
listen, here's the deal, right? Like Anthony Joshua with DAZN,
yeah,
Fury's with Aram,
right,
Wilds with Showtime.
right,
Yeah.
How are they going to meet?
That matters so much.
But
and I think regular people don't realize that.
yeah,
And I think Aram now, I mean, with this Joshua getting stopped,
yeah,
Aaron wants to make the Wilder fight to make that $100 million. I mean,
Right.
it's going to go out the window.
yeah. It's not about who's the best fighters, and you're Chris Algieri and Cooney are the best fighters right now. I know it's
Yeah.
different weight divisions.
Right.
They should fight. But it is all the politics,
Well,
and no, this guy's with this company, so we can't do that. So it's so
Sickening.
complicated, and it seems like it's exhausting where you guys sit.
But I want to tell you this, that in today's time,
Yeah.
people think boxing is dead.
Right,
I follow it. I'm on Sirius XM.
No way.
right,
And boxing is so deep in talent, so many different weight classes. I mean, the light heavyweight division's got 8 or 9 or 10 guys.
right.
Killers. They're
Killers.
killers.
The cruiserweights.
Yeah.
Usyk has moved up to heavyweight.
He's awesome.
I mean, you got the smaller guys. You got this guy Lomachenko.
Right.
I think he's just too good for anybody.
I want to fight him, actually.
Can you get to him?
I think if I get a world title 140, I think I can make that fight happen.
Wow.
What weight class?
I would go down a few pounds into like the 30s. I
Well,
can't.
that's
Go,
interesting.
I wouldn't go to lightweight. I couldn't go that far. But I could. Like if you wanted me
like
to
to
catch
see
me,
that fight. That's an
Where
interesting fight.
are you going to lose weight?
I got my tricks.
Where's his
I got,
pounds
I got my
there?
tri-
Well, I
I got
mean,
my,
what-
I got my
what is-
cookbook, man.
Well, listen, Lomachenko's at 35 now, right?
35, yeah.
So you get a catch weight.
That's
37.
exactly. So we meet in the
Okay,
middle. We meet in the
gotcha.
middle. If I'm world champion at 140, he's looking for another. Even if he wanted to come up, have another. He's got 3 world championships.
Right.
Try for 140. Come at me.
And that's where it's amazing what Manny Pacquiao did.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
9 different divisions.
Unbelievable.
Insane.
I mean, I know those divisions were like 3 pounds.
Yeah, but still,
still.
he figured it all out.
And he's fighting. He's going to have a tough fight against Keith Thurman.
That's a big fight.
I believe you that boxing is kicking ass again, but I don't know, man, Gerry. You fought in the golden era. I don't think we'll ever see another time like when you
Gerry
came up.
They had the heavyweights. That's the difference.
Right.
The magnitude of heavyweight boxing, and we're seeing that right now a little bit
He's coming back.
with Joshua
Yeah.
and Wilder.
Joyce, they got a lot of
he's
really
good.
quick guys.
He's
Yeah.
good. We've got a real heavyweight division now that's talent rich,
Right.
and it's hard not to watch those fights because you never know what happens.
Well, the
It's
other
heavyweight boxing.
problem is there's so many distractions now. We all have our phones, and there's so many things to listen to and watch. Back in your day, man, who wasn't watching the Larry? Who wasn't watching the
all
Larry?
we had was a horse and buggy delivering the newspaper.
Yeah, I know. But who wasn't watching the Larry Holmes
Right.
Cooney fight, closed circuit in all the theaters?
And you had to buy a ticket. You had to go.
Yeah.
And then you
fly
knew.
to Vegas and watch it.
Well, then you knew who won, and then it would go on HBO. You watch it there, and then you would watch it on
TV.
ABC.
Right.
And
You know,
it didn't matter.
I wish I knew how important it was back then.
Right.
But listen, we do it.
Live
we
and
do it.
learn, my brother. Live and learn. So
Fun, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, the boxing today,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're getting it out the right way, but boxing is deep
Yeah.
in talent. And years ago, if the heavyweight division was strong, that held up boxing.
Right.
Today, it doesn't matter. There's so many welterweights, junior welterweights,
Right.
lightweights that are fantastic fighters.
Yeah. All right.
So-
And your charity work's still going well? And
Yeah, we just raised a nice $130,000 last Saturday. I didn't have to fight this time. I couldn't believe it.
And where did that money go to?
To kids.
Just all kids.
Summer programs and school programs.
Right.
And so it's all good stuff we do, you know.
God, you're a good guy, Gerry.
No, come on, you too.
I'm
That's
trying to
why
be
we're all here
better.
today.
I'll say that. I'm trying to be a better guy. You're a good guy.
There is not a charity event that I go to on Long Island where I don't see this man.
Right.
Oh,
And
you're
he
so
and that he doesn't know everybody there.
Right.
Everybody
He gives back.
gives back.
And
Absolutely.
like I said earlier, man, wherever you go,
You know what I
you
did?
see the light in your eyes and everyone around you.
No, I always put myself out there. Hello, how you doing? What's
Right.
going on with you? And that's a great trait for me. I love that about myself. I
Right.
got that from my brother Mike.
Jerry, you're the prototype for a homegrown champion like myself. When
Yeah.
when looking at how your career went, where you're at, what you do, I'm still learning from you all the time. I was learning from your career as a fighter, and now I'm learning about post career, like how you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to handle yourself. And for me to see you over the years has been really, really beneficial for me. To know how to act.
Yeah.
And that's a great story. And the biggest thing is having a man say he loves himself. And I didn't know how to love I hated myself. You'd pay me a compliment, I'd spend 10 minutes talking you out of it.
Right.
And today I learned to say, hey, thank you.
Yeah, cool.
And I appreciate myself today.
Right, I get it.
I wish I would have got it back when I was 30.
Are you religious, or are you more like spiritual, or
I'm
a little-
spiritual. I go to church a couple days a week.
Yeah.
Half-hour mass,
Yeah.
25-minute mass on
Perfect,
during
right?
the week.
Let's make it quick. In and out, man. And then we'll practice the rest of the day. Well,
Were you Catholic growing up?
I
Catholic?
was brought up Catholic, but I consider, organized religion's a little rough for me, but I've become more and more, I like to say spiritual, but the more you get into spirituality, you realize that it's very close to being religious, way closer than people want to acknowledge.
Listen, where I came from to where I am today, I know God was following me.
Really?
Yeah.
You always knew?
No, I was, I remember going into a fight. I'd be fighting, saying, "Please, God,
Yeah.
let me win this fight. I'll never do it again."
Yeah.
Never do it
Right,
again."
right.
A lot of times he did, and a lot of times he didn't. You know what's been helping me a lot?
Huh.
Evander Holyfield is a very religious guy.
Very.
He sends me readings every day.
Every day.
Yeah, and I read them. And I'm sure he's got a lot of people who send them to him. But it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That's
And
so cool.
that courage he had was from the spirituality. He
Right.
believed so much in that, he could take him into the ring with it.
I hung out with Holyfield once. I said, "Hey, could you pass the salt?" And he did. No, that's a true story.
That's a great story.
It is a great story. No, because we got close with Tyson, and then when that documentary came out it was the Tyson Holyfield, the one about the
Big deal.
champions and all that. We were invited to the screening, and then next thing you know, like, we were invited to a very private dinner, and we're sitting there like, we don't belong here. Everyone else in the room had something to do with the movie and stuff, and they're like, everyone in this room is very important to the fighters and this and that.
And you're looking around like,
I'm like, I mean, the director came on the show and and promoted it. That's it. Like,
Wow.
I don't know these guys on that level.
But,
But I
you
sat
gotta
next to
just
Holyfield,
Run with it. You run with it. You know what I mean?
and I really wanted salt for my potatoes, and so I asked Holyfield.
and Evander got you.
Right. Anyway, Jerry, this was a pleasure. I hope
It's great to see Chris today. He looks good, too.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jerry.
Why do you look so good?
Because I knew Jerry was going to be here, and this guy's always class.
I dressed up
Come
too,
on,
Jerry,
man.
but
Stop,
unfortunately, it's this.
I'm suffering with sciatica. Did you ever have sciatica?
No, but I'm aware of it. It's
Don't
very
get
painful.
it.
Yeah.
Don't get it.
I was going to ask you if you have any injuries, war wounds from
I just
boxing.
got my feelings hurt 3 times.
Yeah. me too.
Three
me too,
losses,
Jerry.
three
I got
losses.
three. I got my feelings hurt 3 times too.
What was your record in the end?
Just 28-3.
That's unbelievable.
And I'm 24-3. We're pretty close.
Unbelievable. But the 3 losses for him:
Yeah.
Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks,
There we
Look at
go.
this
and
guy.
George Foreman.
Why do you got to keep reminding me about those 3 losses for? That's the problem. We're always remembered by the losses.
No.
There's a
all
great
good, it's
quote.
all good.
Oh, what is it exactly?
I'm kidding,
I'm
bro.
gonna butcher this thing, but it's like, the victory is like time sensitive, but the loss never is. The loss never goes
Mm-hmm.
away. Like every victory is like, all right, when's the next one? When you lose, though, it's like, oh, you lost.
Right.
Can I tell you that's human nature?
Yeah.
I've been lucky to talk to a lot of famous people over the years. They always remember the critics over the praise.
Oh, no doubt.
They could have a movie that is everyone knows.
And you do, too.
and
so do I.
Less.
And so does he. And so
Less.
does he.
I'm here to say less.
Good.
But
Well,
you
me
are
too.
right. But they always talk about that. Once they could have 100 reviews, and one review is like that.
can never
This
forget
movie
it.
sucks, or his acting sucked, or his performance sucked, and time again, they all tell me they focus on that one stupid negative.
Well, I'd be
review.
traveling on the railroad. I'd be 100 people. 99 were the best people in the world.
Yeah.
That one guy
Right?
ruined my day.
Isn't that amazing? Why do
no
we
more.
allow that?
No more. But it did. It's just
Human nature?
nature.
Yeah. All right. I hope we sold some copies of your book, Gerry.
I hope you do. I hope we did. And listen, love being with you. And I'm happy that you landed here and it's beautiful.
Right on.
And I'm enjoying you again. Smile. And I used to love coming to your show.
I know. That was a good run
Give
over
those
there.
guys a hard time.
Yeah.
I do a show there in Sirius, so I was there all the time.
I've been on your show like 10 times, Gerry.
Gerry would be in the hall, and I would bring him in left and right, and we would always have fun. So
I'm sure this guy was floating around all the time, like
Yeah.
talking to everybody.
it's unbelievable.
Listen, when I first went to Sirius Radio,
Yeah.
nobody looked at each other. No one talked to each other.
No.
I got everybody talking to everybody
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, good for you, because
Jerry's the first social network.
yeah, a lot of people walked around those hallways with their head down, and they were miserable. And I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought your light to
It's a
that
hard
place
life.
because
It's
it
a hard
needed
life.
it. But
All right, listen.
All
man,
right,
thank
Gerry.
You.
So
Enjoy
the-
your day, baby.
Jerry,
Great
I
to see
got a
you.
book for you before you go.
Thank you.
Gerry,
Take a
what's
picture.
the name of the book? Is Gentle
Gentleman Gerry.
Gentleman Gerry.
Contender
Sorry.
in the ring, a champion in recovery.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's if you're a fight fan like myself and the history of boxing, there's a lot of that in there, a
Yeah.
lot of good stuff in there. But it is a recovery book too.
It
We
is.
should get the word out. There's a lot of recovery things
is.
in there,
How we make it.
and it breaks down someone like you and what you've been through as a child and how you got through it through boxing and
good for
through
you.
spirituality and through just finding that inner warrior.
Excuse me, would you say that again? No, just kidding.
But you're right.
It is.
There's a
It's
lot of
and
recovery
it's a
in this book.
happy ending.
Well, we'll see.
It's a happy ending. Love you guys, huh?
All right.
Thank you.
The great Gerry Cooney, my friend. And I guess we're going to wrap up. Chris Algieri, thanks for coming in for this. Are you promoting anything? You good? What?
Just my book.
Yeah.
Yeah, just my book. It's out now. It wasn't fully released when we talked last time, but now it's out.
The cookbook?
The cookbook, the Fighter's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Barnes and Nobles.
Nice.
And booksellers now. It's going on Amazon. It's actually selling really well. It's already got a best-selling tag on
Right.
Amazon, so that's pretty
And it's
exciting.
basically how to eat right.
How to eat right.
But also enjoy your eating. Because a
Yeah.
lot of times people are like, wait, eat right means I got to sacrifice. And you're showing that, you could cook healthy and it still tastes damn good.
Yeah, I'm not that way, and I'm also that you can make it yourself. You know,
Right.
it's like it doesn't take a chef to prepare good food.
You got to come back and congratulations
Absolutely.
on that fight.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
It was so exciting that you did my podcast days before that fight, and then we all were watching. I'm like, fuck,
I appreciate
yeah.
that. Yeah, it was a good fight. It was a good fight. It was a fun one to watch.
And when's the next one, you think?
Hopefully September. I'm
Hopefully?
gonna get right back. Yeah, I have no injuries from the fight. My body feels great, so I'll take this month off, kind of push my book, and then right back to camp in July.
And who are you going to fight? You know yet? Or do you have feelers out yet?
The champions are all kind of busy right now, so we're gonna look for a keep busy fight. I don't want to wait for them.
Yeah.
I want to stay busy. I'm better
Smart.
when I'm busy.
Smart. All right. Chris Algieri, my new friend, man. Thanks for doing the podcast again.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime.
All right.
Anytime.
With that, we're out. Bam. Yes, sir.
That was awesome.
How great was Gerry?
Jerry so much.
His story is unbelievable, and he downplays it like, right?
Yeah, always. I didn't know a lot about that stuff. 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 I didn't know a lot